am I live? I've never done a YouTube live before, so I think that it is live. Let's see. Okay, I think that it's live. Hopefully, if you are on here, please say something in the chat box. Let me know that this is actually live. Fingers crossed right now. Also, hopefully my lighting is okay. I'm in quarantine in Lisbon right now. So if I move the camera, that's why, because my lighting is a little bit off. But we'll just go ahead and start off. Hey everyone, I'm so excited to be hanging out with you all for the next half an hour or so. And today we're going to be chatting all about how to get out of your own way in order to grow your business. So a few things that we are going to be covering include why mastering your mindset is the first key to building a successful business, and also how to do that. We'll also be diving into how to get visible and reach people even when you are terrified. And finally, we'll be talking about how to keep moving forward in spite of setbacks that are going to pop up along the way. So if you are just starting out, or you're thinking about launching your business, or even if you've been in business for a little bit, but you're not really gaining that traction and you're not seeing momentum, then this is for you. And if you have any questions, feel free to pop them in the chat box. Also, feel free to say hello. This is live, so if you're tuning in for when this started, obviously I'll be happy to chat with you during that. So let's go ahead and get started now. If you don't know who I am, I'm Rhiannon, and I'm a business coach and the founder and CEO of Flame and Arrow LLC. And I work with women to really help them move past their fears in order to find clients and really to build successful businesses. So let's backtrack just a little bit. I started my entrepreneurial business journey in 2014, and maybe you can relate, but I wanted a career that allowed me the freedom to travel and to work with amazing women and to actually make an impact doing both. And a traditional job path just didn't quite offer that for me. So my online business journey began. And if I'm being completely honest, I wasn't very successful at first. I felt like I was doing all the things, but I wasn't making any progress. I wasn't seeing any traction. And I was downloading all of these ebooks and attending free workshops and, trying to research literally everything, but I wasn't actually making progress in my business. So you may be able to relate to some of this. And, it's very easy when you first start out to just go on information overload. And for me, what this meant was I was never actually implementing. So I didn't have a great mindset. I was going at everything alone, and I was really scared. And each and every one of those things really held me and my business back, and they may be holding you back as well. So after a couple of years of doing the exact same thing and still not seeing any results, I was really burnt out. And I was tired of holding back and not achieving those dreams that I had set for myself. And I knew that I had so much more to give and just so much more to share, but I was so freaking terrified and I didn't quite know what to do next. But here's when things started to shift for me. When I started just tuning out the noise and getting out of this information overload and focusing on my business and exactly what I wanted to achieve, I started seeing results. And I continued to go after that, even though I was scared. I'm not going to lie to you, even 6 years in, things pop up that are still absolutely terrifying. But I've learned how to navigate through those in order to build a successful business that I genuinely love. And it is absolutely possible for you as well without wasting all of that time that I did. So before we dive on in, I want you to think about how you're feeling about your business right now, like at this exact moment in time. What's interesting is when I talk with clients about this, or when I speak with women about this, there's always a ton of different answers that pop up. So sometimes people are crazy excited and really looking forward to what the future can hold for their business. Sometimes they're not quite sure what exact steps they should take next, but they're trying to push through anyways. And alternatively, sometimes people are just absolutely petrified of moving forward, which causes them to just stay where they are, which is stuck. So if you can relate to any of those, know that you are not alone. And also know that you can be a combination. You can be a combination of the three. You can go through different seasons. That's totally normal. We have all been there. And the entrepreneurial journey it's not linear. It's not a straight line. It's got peaks and valleys and ups and downs and highs and lows and, anything and everything in between. So no matter which stage you are currently in, I know that you've got big dreams for your business, which is why you're here, and you are going to make an impact. But maybe you don't quite know what steps to take, or you're trying to push forward, but nothing is working, or you keep questioning yourself, or maybe you feel like you don't have enough time or enough money right now. And honestly, all of those things will kill a business. And sometimes it can feel so overwhelming and like you're never going to get there. But I promise you, even in spite of every single one of these obstacles, you can be successful and you can build and grow your business in spite of these challenges. So if you're able to get over these obstacles, that will make way for you to generate the income that you're aiming for, impact lives, become a leader or an influencer or an expert in your field, and really gain momentum to keep moving forward. So, big question. How in the world can you do that? Number one, first and foremost, the right mindset. So at the end of the day, your business success comes down to you. Now, others can relate to the struggle that you're going through, and you can and you absolutely should ask for help when you need it, and surround yourself with a supportive community of like-minded people. Seriously, that's a game changer. But ultimately, your business success comes down to you. And that can sound really, really scary, but it's also a very, very powerful thing. But in order to actually create the success that you are dreaming of and that you are trying to achieve, you need that right mindset. And, you've probably heard mindset before, but it is often so overlooked, especially when you're first starting out. So you have all of the things that you need to do. You have a to-do list that's a mile long, and it can be very, very easy to want to just dive on in and start working. But what it boils down to is, at the end of the day, what you focus on really does expand, and what you put in comes out. And what I mean by this is, what you're filling your mind with has a significant impact on your outcomes. So that can be from your moods to your relationships, to your business, to your life, and anything and everything in between. So it is really imperative that you are intentional with what you're putting in and also what you're focusing on. So when we're talking about focusing on, what you need to focus on is what you want and what you're aiming for, instead of the things that you don't and the negative things that are weighing you down, or, even if that's where you are right now and that's not currently where you want to be. So in order to do this, you can focus on where you want to be in, let's say, 3 months' time. So what do you see for your business in 3 months' time? Or it can be 6 months' time, or a year's time. What about 5 years' time? Take that and visualize it. So write it down. If you use Pinterest, great for images, obviously, you can create a private board and really just create a vision board. So get very, very specific and very intentional of what you want and what you're envisioning and what you're seeing yourself accomplishing. So you can work on the strategy down the road, but right now, first thing is first, you really need to have the right frame of mind, and you need to focus on the reality that you want to create versus the reality that you are currently in. So this is one of the best and fastest ways to actually make progress and continually move forward in your business. It's also one of the most overlooked. So, you picture what you want. All right, you know where you want your business to go, or where you want to be in 5 years' time, or however long. If 5 years is way too far out, that's okay. You can pull it back. You can pull it back to a year. You can pull it back to 6 months, whatever. Just visualize where you want to go. All right, so you visualize it, you see it, but you're still really, really nervous. First of all, again, know that you're not alone. Literally every single one of us goes through this. But how do you combat that? How do you deal with it? Well, first of all, let's go ahead and talk about some struggles that are common for entrepreneurs that you may be experiencing now. These are struggles that I've dealt with, that my clients have dealt with, and we can dive into them and then figure out how to overcome them. So a couple of really, really big mindset hurdles and mindset blocks that are common are perfectionism. So this is when you're not taking action until you feel like something is perfect. We've also got imposter syndrome, which is where you feel really inadequate even in spite of success. Self-doubt, which is another manifestation of imposter syndrome, but it's pretty self-explanatory. It's where you're constantly doubting yourself. And fourth and finally, a big one is shiny object syndrome. So this is where you're constantly bouncing from one thing to another to another. And again, as I mentioned a second ago, I've struggled with every single one of these. So many of my clients have struggled with these. Something that has been powerful for me and for my clients, and I think is also going to be very powerful for you and really, really just shift, is it's going back to what I was talking about with visualization. So it's where you're at versus where you want to be. All right, so let's say right now in this exact moment, you struggle with any of the above or all of the above, whatever. Let's say everything has to be perfect, or no matter what you do, it doesn't feel good enough, or you're constantly bouncing from project to project to project, or idea to idea to idea. How do you overcome these things? U 2.0. Okay, so I was frustrated that I wasn't making any progress, as I mentioned before, and I was doing all of the things. I had all of my systems in place and all of my processes were sorted out, but I still wasn't seeing any results. So this simple assignment literally changed my life and changed my business. So instead of focusing on the negative and the obstacles that are currently tripping you up, think about U 2.0. Now, U 2.0 is where you want to go and where you want to be. It's where you see yourself in, we can say 3 months time or 3 years time, whatever. It's what you are constantly working towards. So it could be you seeing yourself as a CEO of this massive company that makes a difference. And, it gives you the freedom to do quite literally whatever it is that you want. Or it could be you seeing yourself living on a beach with your family and working 5 hours per week, or anything and everything in between, whatever it is. And every single person is going to have a different vision, and every single person is going to have a different goal for their business and their life. And while these are all going to be different, the steps to actually attain these goals mentally are the exact same thing. Tripping over my words here. So in order to get to U 2.0, how you do this, write down everything that is holding you back right now. So self-doubt, fear, perfectionism, imposter syndrome, lack of motivation, too many things in the air, unfulfillment, no confidence, just some examples, but whatever it is, write it down. So get it out. And then when you have everything out, what you can do, get a new sheet of paper and write down how next level you, or U 2.0, is going to be. So be it that CEO or that lady on the beach working 5 hours per week with her family. So maybe U 2.0 is really confident and you take action versus procrastinating, or you're motivated and happy and fulfilled. You get things done instead of stress out and freak out about them not being perfect. Again, just some examples to get you thinking. But whatever U 2.0 and whatever that 2.0 means for you, it's all about aligning your thoughts and training your mind to have a vision and really look and work towards that reality that you want to create. And then you can kind of work backwards from there to guide you in how you're going to handle certain situations, or what you can do to get to that reality that you were working towards creating. So maybe that's hiring a team member who can help you streamline, or working with a coach who's going to help you increase your confidence, or getting an accountability buddy to help you get things done versus overanalyzing if they're perfect. That could even be scheduling in like self-care days to keep yourself motivated and fulfilled. Whatever it is that looks like for you, that's what you want to be working towards and continually striving for. And there are going to be hiccups along the way. Totally a part of the process. There's going to be peaks and valleys and bad days, and that's okay. But if you can keep your mind trained towards looking to the future instead of being stuck in either the past or your current reality, you're going to make progress. And you're going to start to set yourself up for success and achieve these goals and massive massive dreams that you've got for yourself and for your business. But it is imperative to keep that right mindset throughout this process. So one thing you can do is you can ask yourself, are you currently looking towards and visualizing the future that you want, or are you stuck in the routine of analyzing your current reality, which may not be where you want it to be? And also, do you know where you want your life and your business to go? So oftentimes people get stuck wanting success that they see others have. And maybe you've fallen into this trap as well, but they don't have a clear picture of what they want. And success is different for every single person. So if you don't have a clear picture of what you want and you don't know exactly where you want your business and your life to go, it's not going to have a direction. Now, I'm not talking about having all of the pieces of the puzzle filled in, but having a general direction to work towards is the point here. And that can make it very, very difficult to move forward. But being clear on this means that you do have a goal to work towards, and you can really see it in your mind. So changing this one tiny thing can make a big difference. And if you don't quite know where you want to go right now, that's okay. But know that it's never too late to create this vision and to start to get clear on where you want to go in both your business and your life. So I would really encourage you to start to get yourself in the habit of this. Train your mind, journal your thoughts if that helps you. Just be intentional and know where you want to go. And again, with mindset, it is oftentimes so overlooked, but it really is such an important foundational piece, because when you know where you're going and what you're moving towards, it's so much easier to take those steps forward. So that brings us to our next step to grow your business. Get visible. So once you're crystal clear on what you want and really what this big picture is that you are actively working towards, and you're working through these mindset blocks, you can really start to work backwards and block things off into different chunks, so to speak. So it is a fact that it is sometimes intimidating, but we need an audience in order to find clients. And the best way to grow our audience and really to expand our reach is to start getting visible. All right, so what does getting visible actually mean? Well, it can mean different things for different people, and what works for your friend may not be the best fit for you, or it may not be the best fit for your audience. That's okay. There is no one size fits all here, but essentially getting visible means putting yourself out there, sharing your message, sharing what you do, and actually showing up in order to grow your audience. So something that I found after working with so many women for the past several years is it can be very, very easy to kind of dip our toes in. So what I mean by that is like create a Facebook business page if you're just starting out, or create an Instagram account, or join groups that are kind of relevant. And then these amazing ladies that I've worked with, they have so much to offer and so much to share, and then they just kind of freeze. So a day may turn into a week, and then a week turns into a month. And before they know it, half a year has gone by and they haven't really done much. And maybe you're in this category. So maybe you don't quite know what to do in order to grow or in order to get visible at this point. That's okay. You don't have to know exactly the next step to take. The point is putting yourself out there in order to get visible. And here's the thing, clarity comes from taking action. So when you are taking continual action each and every day to take you where you want to go, you are going to make progress and you are going to move the needle in your business forward, guaranteed. But you have to take the action. You have to start getting visible. So putting yourself out there can be so uncomfortable, and it's not always easy, but again, that's what makes you grow. So if this is terrifying, what I would do is I would encourage you to take a step back and just do one thing today that's putting yourself out there. It doesn't have to be some great, big, extraordinary thing, just one small thing, because over time that is going to add up and you're going to start seeing results. So no writing down a list of things that you can do or that you're maybe going to do next week. Literally do one thing today. Because again, it's those consistent steps and that continual visibility that's going to help you find clarity and ultimately grow your business. So If you are the best kept secret in town and you're wondering how other people in the same industry are killing it and have more business or new leads, or they can, they can't handle it all. And right now you're really, really struggling. Oh, hey, Amanda. Hey, Melody. Oh, I just saw you guys popped on. Talking about visibility right now. If you're seeing people who are really, really killing it and you are struggling, start to get visible. So if you need inspiration, a couple of things that you can do to start showing up right now at this exact moment are doing videos. All right, live videos are great, but if it's a stretch right now, just create a video and publish it. That's okay. Post on Instagram, guest blog, tell anyone and everyone who will listen to your message and also who needs to hear your message. This can be your friends, your family, the man you sit next to on a subway. Some of you may have heard this before, but I legit actually got a lead from sitting next to a man on a subway once. True story. But it's also going to help you be intentional and getting visible in the spaces that your audience is hanging out. Now, keep in mind, your friends, your family, the random fella on the subway, they may not be your ideal audience. That's okay, but they may know someone who is. So again, it's just pushing yourself and getting visible. And also you can start to become a known name in, for example, Facebook groups. So there's a little conversation starter icon. It looks like a little coffee cup. Something you could do is set a goal for yourself to get one of those. And people are going to start seeing you. They're going to start recognizing you and know who you are. And that's going to build that know, like, and trust factor, which also is going to be a benefit for your business. So whatever it is that getting visible means to you, do that. And again, it's going to look different for you than it does for another entrepreneur friend or even a competitor who may be in the exact same industry with the exact same target market and the exact same niche. That's okay. Whatever that means for you and however you feel comfortable and can slightly push yourself to get out there and just get in front of your audience, do that and keep it up. So finally, how can you keep moving forward in spite of setbacks or during a time of chaos, like COVID-19, for example? Take imperfect action. I know that can sound absolutely terrifying, but, oh, I see a comment. Hi, Kristen. I wrote in the chat on the page, but it's not here. Weird. Thanks for making me realize perfectionism is holding me back. Absolutely. Honestly, it's so hard, and just we want to make things perfect, and we want to make them put our best foot forward and make them look great, et cetera, et cetera. But honestly, if we're waiting until it's perfect, we're waiting too late. Man, I'm so sorry. The lighting is so bad. I said at the beginning, I'm stuck in quarantine in Lisbon, so my lighting is kind of wonky. But Kelly, I have to remind myself to keep going and not give up, even though the road is tough when you're a new business owner. Absolutely. Honestly, it is just taking those consistent steps. And it doesn't have to be something big, but so many people have gone through these trials, these tribulations, and starting a business is really, really hard. Like when you first start out, it's overwhelming. There's so much freaking information. There's so much noise. Like we don't quite know what to do. We're getting all of this information from everywhere. And honestly, it's just taking those next steps and pushing yourself to get visible. So sorry, this lighting is so bad, guys. For those of you who are on here, what are some of the struggles that you're dealing with right now, whether it's growing your business, whether it's getting visible? Share in the chat box, and I'll hop back in just a second and answer those if you have questions. But for imperfect action, I know as far as perfectionism, it sounds counterintuitive because we want things to look great. We want to put our best foot forward, but taking imperfect action it's going to be like pouring jet fuel on your business because you're going to learn what works. You can tweak and refine what doesn't. And if something doesn't work, you can scratch it entirely and you're going to know that it doesn't work. And really, you're going to be pushing yourself and getting yourself out there instead of just writing things down or just talking about what you're going to do. And again, clarity comes from taking action and results come from taking imperfect action. And I know as a recovering perfectionist, that is so hard to do, but honestly, that is what gets you results. So if you've ever heard that saying, done is better than perfect, again, it may sound counterintuitive, but it's so true. If you are waiting until something is absolutely perfect, you are waiting too long. And there's a quote pulled from an essay that appeared in the Chicago Tribune. I think it was in June of 1997. And I'm probably going to butcher this lady's name, but her name is Mary Schmeesh, something like that. Schmich, I think. So sorry if I butchered that. But the quote says, do one thing every single day that scares you. So from personal experience, this can be terrifying, like petrifying. It can be really, really, really hard. And, you know, it is hard to put ourselves out there, but that's also the point. So you do not have to do something that scares the living freaking daylights out of you every single day. And if something is terrifying you so much that it is causing you to not take any action, focus on something else. That's okay. You don't have to jump from here to here in one fell swoop. So for example, let's talk about live video, okay? The first time I ever did a live video, it took me 8 hours to work up to it. It took me 2 shots of Jack Daniels. It took me crying and calling my mom on the phone. And this sounds ridiculous, but it really did. I was so flipping terrified. And I'd worked with this coach and she said, you have to do live. You have to do live. Well, guess what? I pushed it off for a year and a half, something like that. And things didn't progress because it didn't feel good to me. It was really, really hard for me. So if you're in that boat and you feel guilty or you feel bad that, it is a struggle, don't stress about that. Just take one tiny thing, take one tiny step forward. So maybe that's recording a video on your phone and sending it to your mom. And then maybe next week that can be recording a video and uploading it to Instagram or, whatever. It's taking those consistent actions and building yourself up to it. And now back to my live video example, it doesn't bother me at all. Like I love doing live video and interacting, but 3 years ago, literally took me 8 hours and I was a hot mess. So I had to work up to that and that's okay. Just if something is terrifying you so much that you're not taking action, just try to do those baby steps. So my point is if each day you are pushing yourself to stretch just a little bit outside of your comfort zone, you're going to grow personally and you're going to grow your business. So let me hop on over to the comments. You're also finding your voice and what makes you stand out amongst the crowd and being consistent. Yes, definitely. I have to stop myself sometimes from looking at what competitors are doing and focus on me. Exactly, Kelly. You hit the nail on the head there because honestly, it can be easy to get down the rabbit hole and look at our competitors. But keep in mind, our competitors, competition, others in our industry, whatever, they may look like they are freaking killing it. But you're not seeing what's going on behind the scenes. Like you don't know if that's actually legitimate and true. You don't know if that's actually, maybe they're working with a coach who is helping them grow. Maybe they're hiring someone else to handle this, et cetera, whatever. So also keep in mind, social media can be a facade. And when you start to do that, or if you start to compare and have comparisonitis, that really, really can be detrimental for our business. So I would encourage you to just try to stay in your own lane. Now, there's nothing wrong with getting inspiration from other people or anything like that. But if you start getting down the rabbit hole and comparing and feeling like crap because you're not quite where they are, or yours doesn't look like this or whatever, try to pull yourself back and just focus on your own lane, exactly like what you were talking about. So Melody says, for me, it's wanting to do something, but realizing that so much more work needs to go in. Example, wanting to make more sales, but realizing I need to do emails, a webinar, etc. I get overwhelmed. Okay, you bring up a really, 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 really good point. All right, so when you are getting overwhelmed, something that you can do is start to figure out what the next step is. So for example, income generating activities. All right. So there's 2 types of things that we have in our business. We've got our front end stuff and we've got our back end stuff. So let me just pull from your example. All right. So Melody's goal is more sales, but she needs to do more emails, a webinar, etc. All right. So something that you can do is you can focus on one and then slowly start to build up from there, especially if you still have a day job, especially if you're trying to do all of the things. But something that we do as creatives, oftentimes we want to jump from thing to thing to thing, or we want to multitask, and then we get overwhelmed or we don't quite get things finished, and then we get annoyed, whatever. So I would encourage you to focus on one thing, and you can even think about what is the best way that's going to reach my audience. If you have a big email list, maybe your email list is going to be awesome for that. If you're trying to build up your email list, a webinar is going to funnel all of that into that. But it doesn't have to be some big extravaganza. So if you are feeling overwhelmed, just try to take a step back, pull back, and focus on what is the next step that I can do. And again, that doesn't have to be figuring out, I'm going to launch a webinar in action you can take today, and then taking the imperfect action. And I know that that can be easier said than done, but focus on those income generating activities, what's going to grow your audience. And when you do start to get overwhelmed, just take a step back and just do one thing, just one thing. So Kristen says, determining where to launch new programs, easy to get in my head and stop myself from actually doing it. Definitely. Kristen, if you don't mind, in the chat, can you tell us a little bit more about what you do, where you're looking at launching new programs? Are you active in like Facebook groups? Are you growing with webinars? How is that kind of looking for you? If anybody else has any questions, feel free to type them in the chat box. I'll just go ahead and pull a recap. We're kind of nearing the end here, but I'm definitely happy to dive in a little more if y'all still have questions. But as a recap, for those of you who are just tuning on, what we first want to do is work on our mindset. So we want to visualize what we want and where we want to go and taking action for you 2.0. And I know that can sound ridiculous, like, oh, work on your mindset, blah, 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 blah. But honestly, it's such a game changer. And like retraining our thoughts instead of, looking at things negatively or just being stuck in where we're currently at in our current reality. And what we put out and what we focus on really does expand. So if you're focusing on all the crap that's going wrong, you're going to notice more crap that's going wrong or more bad things. But if you're focusing on where you want to go and you're grateful for all the good things that are happening, you're going to find more good things are happening that you can be grateful for, and you're going to continue to grow. Next, we want to get visible and stay visible. So in whatever way that means for you. Again, it doesn't have to be the same as Sally Sue next door. It's whatever feels good for you, and you can constantly be bumping up your level from there. Live videos, for example, we said a second ago, if you're really, really struggling with that, but you want to work up to that, you can take tiny little steps forward. Kelly says, mindset is so huge. I have to continuously work on mine so I don't take things personally and I'm just focusing on serving and providing value. Exactly. And it is focusing on providing value and serving your audience. And it sounds like you've already been working on your mindset before. And that's something for me. I didn't start working on for 2 years. And I had no idea why I wasn't seeing results. And I got so frustrated and it was just really negative and not a good space to be in. But as soon as you start to shift that and you start to realize, okay, what is something that's good that's happened? What can I be grateful for? What can I shift and how can I serve my audience? Again, like attracts like. And when you're putting that out, you're going to get that back. All right, so Kristen says, I'm a life coach for parents. Oh, cool. I help them find their passions outside of being parents, but any of the entrepreneur Facebook groups are people who already have found their passions. Okay, and let me scroll back up. Determining where to launch new programs, easy to get in my head and stop myself from actually doing it. Facebook groups are people who have already found their passions. I think that Facebook groups are going to be a really, really good, a good spot for you, Kristen. And I would also say, just because it seems like everyone's found their passion, that may not actually be legit. I don't know if you've done market research or done polling or just reached out to people, but keep in mind in Facebook groups particularly, oftentimes there are so many lurkers. So just because the people who are interacting and engaging and are looking like they have all their ish together, that's not always the accurate picture. So again, I would encourage you to stay engaging, become a know, like, and trustable source. Have people know who you are. And even those people who you may not think are there, especially depending on the Facebook groups that you're in, I would say 9 times out of 10 that they are going to be there. So determining where to launch new programs, I think that may be something, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but just kind of with the chat and just trying to talk it out with you through the chat. One thing that it can be easy to happen is we think certain things and that causes us to not take action. Or maybe something that's popping up for you is, all right, well, crap, everyone's already here. Everyone already knows their stuff. Well, this isn't the right place for me to be. And maybe it's preventing you from taking action. And please correct me if I'm wrong here. I'm happy to chat out more with that. But what I would encourage you to do, go ahead and start creating content. Go ahead and start getting visible. And Kelly, I'll hop back to you on that in a second. Go ahead and start creating content. Go ahead and start getting visible and just putting yourself out there. And you are going to start gaining traction. And yeah, dive a little bit more into that with me, Kristen, if you feel like that's kind of like keeping you stuck and keeping you from taking action. Just that fear that your ideal audience isn't quite there. Something else that you could start doing is like running ads, for example. But again, we want to know our exact niche. We want to know who our target is before we start really diving into that. I'm not exactly sure where you're at in your journey, but I'd love to hear a little bit more. Okay, so Nadine says, how do I decide on the one thing that I have to do today when I'm not sure which one is the most important to focus on? I often feel that I'm choosing the wrong thing to do. Okay, good question. All right, so let's say that you're focusing on, you're trying to get like one thing done a day. It doesn't have to be big, because if you think about it, if you do one thing every day, even if it's Monday through Friday for a year, you're going to see so much progress in a year. All right, so what you can do is shift from income generating activities and non-income generating activities. And what I mean by this is oftentimes in our business, when we first start out, we are doing so much freaking busy work. We feel like, oh my God, I need like my website, I need my welcome sequence, I need a bunch of followers, I need all of this stuff that actually doesn't move your business forward. Again, sorry for the light, guys. I see it's kind of going in and out again. But income generating activities. So for example, and when I say income generating activities, I'm not saying like go and throw your product in everybody's face. That could look like nurturing relationships, building your community, starting to interact. It's more the front end stuff instead of the back end stuff. So back end stuff being, okay, today I can either go interact and hang out in Facebook groups for an hour, or I can work on my website. Okay, so in that, we want to be going and building those connections. We want to be networking, building our audience. The website stuff, if you have extra time at the end of the day, if you have, if this is your side hustle, you have a 9 to 5, you only have an hour a day, whatever, you want to be working on those income generating activities and building those relationships and networking. So when you're trying to figure out where to split your time and what to do, that's what you want to be doing. And if that's between two different things, then you can think what's either going to help you grow faster or make the most impact, and then pick that one. And then if you have more time, you can always shift into adding something else. But the big thing also is not bouncing from thing to thing to thing to thing to thing. Oh, I'm going to work on my email sequence for 10 minutes. Oh, I'm going to work on my webinar for 10 minutes. Like it's picking one and going with it. And then if you have more time, you can shift onto either the back end stuff or the next thing in the pipeline. Okay, so Kelly says, what would you suggest a new business owner do on a day where they're really struggling to show up? For me, I have days where my full-time job or family issues will put me in a crappy mood. Okay, oh girl, I so can feel you there. Especially with COVID, and a lot of times like kids are at home and the world is in freaking chaos right now. It's trying to just like work through your mindset, and honestly, it's consistently showing up and consistently taking action, even when we don't want to, that helps us see those results. And the difference in the people who do succeed and grow so much faster than those who stay stagnant for so much longer is continuing to show up when you don't want to. So something that you can do, you can batch. So you can batch your content. For example, if you're on social media, you can write a bunch of your social media posts when you're inspired and when you have time and when things feel good for you. I'm not saying that that's always going to work, but that's something that you can do. And then you can either schedule it out, or you can repurpose that content and still be showing up. And all of that work was done previously. And something else that I would encourage you to do is try to work on your mindset. And I don't mean this in a negative way, anything like that. It's more on days where I wake up and I just feel like crap and I don't want to do anything, or I'm pissed and I'm in freaking quarantine and like all of this crap is happening. My mind tends to just go in this spiral, and I'm like, oh, this is not good. I'm not happy. Like things aren't progressing, whatever. Literally the first thing that I do is I start to work on my mindset. And if I don't do anything else for the rest of the day, it's mindset, because what that's doing is ultimately retraining my brain and retraining like these thought processes in my brain on things are happening for me instead of to me. And, I can take the situation and I can control it. And I've had a crap day and my husband is being a turd and my kids are screaming and like, I just really don't want to do it. working on your mindset is going to be such a game changer. It's going to make you feel better. It's going to help retrain these paths in your mind. And oftentimes also it's going to shift where you feel better, you're getting a load off, like mentally speaking, and then you can start to do one thing or interact or whatever that looks like for you in your business. And then mindset can look different for different people. So I journal. That's my big thing for mindset. Some people meditate, some people visualize, some people do affirmations. It's whatever feels good for you. But I think that's going to be really, really a big game changer for you. All right, Kristen says, lurkers. I hadn't thought of that. Thank you. That will definitely help. Thinking people had their stuff together had me stuck. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And for anyone who's on social media, whether it's Facebook groups, whether it's Instagram, Facebook groups particularly, there are so many lurkers, like so many lurkers. And also a lot of times the lurkers are the ones, they don't quite know what they need. They don't quite know, where to move forward or et cetera, et cetera. So they are also the ones who, when you're speaking, they may not be the ones who are interacting because they have no idea, what they want, what they need, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, Kelly says, batching is good for making sure content is consistent. What about showing up on stories and lives? Good question. Do you mean, what about showing up on stories and lives when you feel like crap? Or, so for stories, they don't just have to be within 24 hours anymore. So you could batch that as well. And lives also, again, it depends on how you are with video. It depends on lots of things. If you're committing and, you want to do a live every single day or you want to do a live every single week, then I would definitely encourage you to make that commitment to yourself and then continue to move forward. As far as if your big thing is you're wanting to produce video content because it's so good for connecting with your audience, then you can batch that or you can hop on. And honestly, there's also nothing wrong with hopping on and saying, you know what, guys, like, I really want to show up for you today. I've had a really rough day, so this is not going to be long. Like, I'm keeping it real. Honestly, authenticity, vulnerability, things are shifting. Like that is a good way to connect with your audience now in a non-sleazy, crappy way. But it's not, depending on what your business is, but I would say 9 times out of 10, it's not a bad thing to show up and just say, guys, I've had a really crap day, but I want to talk to you about how you can move forward in spite of those crappy days, or how you can show up even when you feel like crap or whatever. You're most welcome, Kelly. Nadine says, that's helpful. Thank you. I guess I often pick the back end stuff because it's easier to do that. And as a result, I'm not seeing that much progress. Yeah. And that's really, really easy to do, is like pick that back end stuff. And essentially what it is it's busy work. And yes, we can use our website to, promote our business, and we can have all of these automation things and our funnels and all of this in place. And that's awesome. We can definitely have all of that. But if we're not connecting with people, if we're not growing our audience, if we're not putting ourselves out there, then we're going to stay stagnant. So it's really just nurturing those connections. And again, these 2 categories, if it's income generating activities, which is, selling or connecting with your audience or, pushing yourself out there to grow your business, or this back end stuff, the back end stuff when you're first starting out really is, honest to goodness, it's busy work. So try to separate those out and then go for how you can connect, how you can grow, how you can do these income generating activities. Cool. Do you guys have any more questions? I don't know how everything is set up on the summit page, but I'm at flameandarrow.com. If you wanted to dive into this further, I have free 30-minute clarity calls that I'd be happy to dive into this more with everyone. And actually, let me grab a link to that now. My computer is probably going to go super, super slow. And feel free to ask any more questions in the meantime. Nothing else is popping up now. All right, so let me just go ahead and pop this in here. All right, but this is just a Calendly link. Yeah, these are just free 30-minute calls to kind of dive into whatever problem point you're having. So I just shared that link there. And any more questions? Any more questions? If not, I would just say, again, just finally take imperfect action. Even when it's scary, even when it's uncomfortable, the point here is just to take some sort of action to keep moving yourself forward, and that is going to grow your business. And yeah, I don't see anything else popping up, but no more questions? Okay, cool. Well, thank you guys so much for being here. It was awesome getting to chat with you all today and, just talk about some things that you can do to grow your business. And again, I'm at flameandarrow.com, and feel free to shoot me an email as well if that's helpful. hello@flameandarrow.com. And hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your week. And again, just don't give up. The difference in being successful and not is continuing to go and continuing to show up, and just don't give up. And you can do it. I believe in you, definitely. All right, guys, have a wonderful rest of your day. For those of you in Asia, have a wonderful rest of your evening. Thank you for being here, and take care, guys. Have a good one.